I'm Dr. Tsewang Tashi. I'm one of the hematologists at the Huntsman Cancer Institute in Salt Lake City, Utah, at the University of Utah, and I lead the Mastocytosis Center of Excellence. Systemic mastocytosis is a rare clonal mast cell disease, and mainly in 95% of these patients are driven by the mutation in the KIT gene, the KIT D816V mutation. And systemic mastocytosis can be either indolent or advanced, but indolent is the majority, about 80 to 85% that we see in the general population. And mainly is characterized by accumulation of these clonal mast cells in different tissues and organs, causing a lot of multisystemic symptoms that include skin symptoms with rash, flushing, hives, GI symptoms with nausea, bloating, diarrhea, malabsorption. They can have systemic symptoms with allergies and anaphylaxis, and neurocognitive symptoms that includes brain fog, memory issues, generalized fatigue, bone pains, and also it's associated with premature osteoporosis. A lot of the patients, have been dealing with these symptoms for many years before it finally gets diagnosed. There are studies that shows that on average, it takes about anywhere between, 7 to 10 years for a patient to get a proper diagnosis. And in the past, there were no good treatments for this disease, except for, best supportive cares with antihistamines, and diagnosis was not very easy, and I think there was lack of awareness. Now with better treatments, I think the awareness is increased, and we have clearly defined diagnostic criteria and better molecular testing for these KIT mutations that have enabled more diagnosis and better outcomes for patients. I think there's a great need for awareness. I think there's a lot of things that can be done in this space. There are a lot of existing, educational websites and educational companies that are seeking, to educate mastocytosis to both healthcare professionals as well as general practitioners. But I think on the healthcare practitioner side, I think there needs to be more awareness among not only the hematology oncologists, but allergy immunologists, because they are, one of the most frontline providers that see these patients, and dermatologists, who often encounter patients who has these chronic rashes and always having skin symptoms, and they go to dermatologists. So, and family practice, of course, and primary care providers are, also at the front line, that there needs some kind of increased recognition for this disease among the primary care provider. I think it would be very helpful to get proper referrals. And one of the other specialties also gastroenterologists, because a lot of patients get diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome or some kind of chronic indigestion issues and malabsorptions, and they go to gastroenterologists. And I think having greater awareness in gastroenterologists is also very helpful. One of the posters presented at ASH was about the long-term outcome of Avapritinib in the Pioneer trial. So Pioneer trial was the first trial of Avapritinib, which is a selective KIT inhibitor, in this disease, the indolent systemic mastocytosis. So altogether, there was about more than 240 patients enrolled. It was a multinational study, international study with, many different centers. The main primary endpoint of this trial was looking at symptom improvement in patients with indolent systemic mastocytosis. And the published manuscript from Pioneer 2 years ago was a result looking at the 24-week blinded portion, showed Avapritinib had significantly better symptom control compared to placebo. At 24 weeks, there was about like negative 15 points compared to just negative 9 points with placebo. And based on that, it was approved by the US FDA for use in indolent SM. Now, these patients, Pioneer patients, are still on the trial for the patients to complete 5 years on the trial. So this year we had the presentation of long-term outcome of a median follow-up of about 40 weeks. So many of the patients completed 2 to 3 years now. So we had the data presented, and the data showed that the avapritinib had sustained improvement in this symptom in these patients. At 2 years, it was, I think, negative 17 points, and at 3 years, it was about negative 19 points of symptom improvement. So, so avapritinib is durable and sustained response in patients, both in their symptoms as well as also in mast cell quality of life. So as we just said, premature osteoporosis is a very much kind of a condition associated with mastocytosis. And we wanted to look at, whether if you treat the underlying mastocytosis, does it help with the bone health? Now, in Pioneer study, looking at osteoporosis as one of the markers was not one of the endpoints. So this study is just going retrospectively, looking back at the data from the Pioneer patients to see whether there was any bone health improvement or not. It was not prospectively studied while in the design of the Pioneer. So when we went back and looked at out of more than 240 patients in Pioneer, I think there was about 79 or 80 patients who had paired like bone density DEXA scans done that we could look at. And looking at it, it does show that at 1 year and 3 year, when you repeat these DEXA scans or the follow-up DEXA scans, shows improvement in bone health. Now, out of these 79, 80 patients, I think there was about a less than 1/5 of them were on anti-osteoporosis treatment with, bisphosphonates and anti-resorptive agents. So you see improvement in those versus, patients who were not taking any anti-osteoporosis treatment. You see improvement regardless whether they were taking bisphosphonates or not. So although this is a retrospective study, we can say that yes, it does increase bone density and when you treat the underlying indolent SM with avapritinib. There was also another marker of bone turnover called tartrate-resistant acid phosphatase, and that was also measured in about 90 patients, I think had a paired sample. In osteoporosis patients, usually this tartrate-resistant acid phosphatase is elevated, but interestingly, in ISM patients, it's decreased. And after you treat with avapritinib for these ISM patients, this biomarker, the tartrate-resistant acid phosphatase, actually increases to a normal range. So that was also an interesting finding that, it kind of normalizes the bone turnover. So this data is very promising, but we need to look at prospectively to see whether that's really the case, whether it improves osteoporosis or not. And to that end, I think the ongoing study in indolent mastocytosis called the Harbor trial, with the drug elenestinib. In that trial, looking at osteoporosis is one of the secondary endpoints, and it's designed such that we will be looking at the bone health prospectively in that trial. So, data from that trial will be very, very informative on this topic. There was another abstract at ASH about the clonal evolution of patients in indolent SM. And I think briefly, that presentation was that treatment with avapritinib in indolent SM did not lead to any resistance of KIT mutation. There was no emergence of any resistant mutations. There were about a certain number of patients. There was about 10% of the patients out of 245 patients who had an additional mutation to the existing KIT mutation they have. And treatment with avapritinib did not lead to emergence of any new clones or new mutations, long term. So I think just the message is that treatment of avapritinib in indolent mastocytosis, we have not seen any emergence of resistant mutations or any new mutations. So in cancers, when you treat any cancers, there's always risk of either developing a resistant mutation or having a new clonal evolution, other clones that you treat the disease clone, but maybe there's another clone that might, escape and progress. So we have not seen that. The treatment with avapritinib is a KIT. Avapritinib is a KIT inhibitor, so it inhibits the KIT mutation. So it is possible, theoretically, that you may develop a mutation in that KIT gene when you have avapritinib inhibiting it. It mutates so that it escapes the inhibition, and that's a resistant mechanism. So if that happens, then the drug will no longer be effective in inhibiting it, and that happens in chronic myeloid leukemia and many other diseases. We have not seen that in SM with KIT inhibitors yet.